Late night work again, baby? Don't wait up, red heart. I stared at those words on my phone screen like they were written in a foreign language. My name is Fredrick and I've been married to Kyla for 6 years. 6 years of what I thought was happiness, loyalty, and trust. But sitting there on our leather couch, the one we picked out together at that overpriced furniture store where she'd insisted on the extended warranty, something felt wrong. The emoji. She never used that emoji. Kyla was a smiling face with smiling eyes girl, sometimes a face blowing a kiss, when she was feeling playful. But a red heart? That was different. I tried to shake it off. Paranoia, I told myself. Marcus, my best friend, had gotten into my head a few months back when he joked, "Man, if my girl started acting like Kyla, I'd be checking her phone." I'd laughed then, defended her. Kyla's not like that, I'd said. But now, alone in our living room with the TV muted and the silence pressing against my ears, that joke felt less funny. My phone rang. Unknown number. I hesitated, my thumb hovering over the decline button, then answered. "Hi, Fredrick. This is Margaret, Kyla's boss." My heart stopped. Is Kyla feeling better? We really missed her at the mandatory conference today. She called in sick this morning with a stomach bug. The words hit me like a freight train. Conference. Sick. This morning. I looked down at the text again. Late night work again. My hands started trembling. Margaret was still talking, something about rescheduling and hoping Kyla felt better soon, but all I could hear was the ringing in my ears, that high-pitched sound that comes right before your entire world collapses. I mumbled something, probably "thank you," or "I'll let her know," and hung up. Then I opened Find My iPhone. Please, before I continue, kindly like, share and subscribe for more interesting videos. The blue dot pulsed on my screen. Rosewood Hotel. 12 minutes from our house. My house, technically, I'd bought it 3 years ago before we got married, kept it in my name alone despite Kyla's protests. "Don't you trust me?" she'd asked, her voice doing that wounded thing that usually made me cave. But my dad had pulled me aside that weekend, his weathered hand on my shoulder. "Son, protect yourself. Always. It's not about love, it's about being smart." I'd listened. Thank God I'd listened. I grabbed my keys and walked to my car like a robot. No thoughts. No emotions. Just movement. The drive was silent. No music, no radio, nothing but the sound of my breathing and the occasional click of the turn signal. My mind kept trying to manufacture excuses. Maybe she's meeting a client there. Maybe Margaret got confused about the conference. Maybe Kyla's phone died and she borrowed someone else's to text me. Each excuse sounded weaker than the last. I pulled into the Rosewood parking lot, and there it was, her white Lexus parked under a flickering light near the side entrance. The same car I'd helped her pick out 2 years ago, spent 3 Saturdays test driving different models while she complained about the seat warmers. I didn't get out. I just sat there, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white, watching the hotel entrance like it was a crime scene. Then I saw movement. A man in a tailored suit stepped out of the revolving doors, laughing at something. And beside him, wearing that black dress, the one she'd bought last month and said made her feel too fancy for the office, was Kyla. My wife. She leaned into him, her head tilting back as she laughed at something he said. He kissed her forehead. Not her lips. Her forehead. Intimate. Familiar. Like they'd done this 1,000 times before. My vision blurred. I think I stopped breathing. I don't remember driving home. One moment I was in that parking lot, the next I was sitting at my kitchen table, staring at the granite countertop Kyla had insisted we install last year. "It'll increase the resale value," she'd said. Resale value. The words felt like a joke now. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through my contacts until I found the name I needed, Anthony Mitchell. Anthony was my brother-in-law, married to my sister Rachel, and one of the most ruthless divorce attorneys in the state. But more than that, he was a survivor. 5 years ago, his ex-wife had destroyed him, drained their accounts, faked bruises, accused him of abuse, tried to take his daughter away. It took him 2 years and $80,000 to clear his name. Since then, he'd built his entire practice around protecting men from exactly what he'd been through. He'd seen every manipulation tactic, every lie, every dirty trick. It was 11 p.m. I called anyway. "Fredrick." His voice was groggy but sharpened immediately. "What's wrong?" "I need a divorce lawyer." Silence. Then I heard rustling like he was sitting up in bed. "What happened?" "Kyla's cheating. I saw her with someone at a hotel. Her boss called earlier asking why she missed work today, said she called in sick. But she texted me saying she was working late." The words tumbled out of me like water from a broken dam. "I have her location. I have the voicemail from her boss. And I need this done before she comes home tonight. More silence. Then Anthony's voice came back, cold and professional. I'm coming over right now. Don't touch anything that belongs to her. Don't text her. Don't call her. And whatever you do, Kendrick, do not let her know that you know. Can you do that? I exhaled for what felt like the first time in an hour. Yeah, I can do that. Good. I'll be there in 20 minutes. And Kendrick? We're going to destroy her. Anthony arrived with 2 empty suitcases and the kind of focus I'd only seen in surgeons on TV. We didn't talk about feelings. We didn't discuss whether I was sure. We just worked. 1 a.m. turned into 2 a.m. as we moved through the house like ghosts, packing every single thing that belonged to Kyla. Her clothes from the walk-in closet, the designer dresses she'd bought with our joint credit card, the shoes lined up like soldiers, the handbags she'd collected like trophies. Her toiletries from the bathroom. Her decorative pillows from the couch. Even that stupid ceramic cat she'd bought at a flea market that I'd always hated. Everything, Anthony said, his voice flat. If there's even a question about whether it's hers, it goes in a box. I remembered the first time I'd brought Kyla to this house, how her eyes had lit up when she saw the master bedroom. This is ours? She'd whispered, kissing me. This is really ours? I'd carried her across the threshold like we were newlyweds, even though we wouldn't get married for another 6 months. Now I was erasing her from every room like she was a virus being scrubbed from a hard drive. We stacked the boxes in the garage, 23 of them total. Anthony helped me change the garage door code, then the front door code, then showed me how to disable Kyla's key fob. She won't be able to get in, he explained. And legally, since the house is solely in your name and she's committed adultery, you have every right to deny her access. The final step was the envelope. Anthony pulled it from his briefcase, a manila folder containing divorce papers he'd apparently prepared on his laptop in the car. Plain, simple, devastating. We placed it on the kitchen counter, right where Kyla always dropped her purse when she came home. You want to leave a note? Anthony asked. I shook my head. The papers say everything I need to say. Anthony smiled grimly. Ice cold, brother. I'm proud of you. I sat in my car 2 blocks away watching the Ring camera feed on my phone. At 2:47 a.m., Kyla's Lexus pulled into the driveway. Through the grainy night vision footage, I could see her smiling, her phone pressed to her ear, probably talking to him. To Fredrick. That was his name. I'd seen it on her Apple Watch last week when a text notification had popped up while she was in the shower. Can't wait to see you tomorrow, with a winky face. I told myself it was a coworker. A friend. Anything but the truth. She walked to the front door, still smiling, and unlocked it. The smile died the moment she stepped inside. I watched her freeze, her eyes landing on the manila envelope. Confusion flickered across her face. She put down her purse, picked up the envelope, opened it. The change was instantaneous, color drained from her face like someone had pulled a plug. Her mouth opened in a silent scream. What the? Her voice came through the camera speaker. She dropped the papers and ran upstairs. I switched camera views, watching her throw open the closet door. Empty. She sprinted to the bathroom. Empty. Back downstairs, nearly falling in her heels, to the garage door. When she saw the boxes, all 23 of them stacked like a wall, she actually stumbled backward. Her hands shook as she grabbed her phone and dialed my number. It went straight to voicemail. I'd blocked her 10 minutes ago. She tried again. Voicemail. Again. Voicemail. On the 4th try, she screamed, a raw, primal sound that should have made me feel something. But I felt nothing. Just cold, empty satisfaction. She called 17 more times in the next hour. Each one went to voicemail. Then the text started, "What is this? Call me now. You can't do this to me." Then threats, "My lawyer will destroy you. You'll regret this. I'll take everything." I turned off my phone and drove to a hotel. Not the Rosewood. Anywhere but there. By 6 a.m., Kyla was at my parents' house. I know because my mom called Anthony's phone, the only number I was answering. "She's here," Mom said, her voice tight. Banging on the door, screaming. "What do you want me to do?" "Don't let her in," I said. "And if she doesn't leave, call the police." My mother, Diane, wasn't someone you messed with. She'd raised 3 boys in the projects while my dad was wrongfully imprisoned for 5 years. She'd worked 2 jobs, fought off landlords, drug dealers, and social workers who wanted to take us away. When Dad came home, she'd rebuilt our family from ash and determination. She'd warned me about Kyla from the beginning. "Something about her smile doesn't reach her eyes, baby," she'd said at our engagement party. I'd ignored her. I wouldn't make that mistake again. Through Anthony's phone, I heard my mother open the front door. Kyla. You need to leave. Where is he? Kyla's voice was shrill, hysterical. He's not here. And if you don't leave right now, I'm calling the police. He can't just abandon me. We're married. You should have thought about that before you cheated on my son. My mother's voice could have cut glass. You've got 10 seconds. You don't understand? 1, 2, 3. Kyla must have lunged forward because I heard my mother say, "Touch me and see what happens." Then footsteps running away, a car door slamming, tires squealing. My mother came back on the line. She's gone. But Kendrick? This isn't over. That girl's crazy. She had no idea how right she was. 3 days later, a Facebook message appeared from someone named Sarah Whitmore. We need to talk about Fredrick and Kyla. My first instinct was to ignore it, some kind of trap, maybe Kyla using a fake account. But something made me click on Sarah's profile. Her cover photo was a family portrait. Her, a man who looked exactly like the guy I'd seen with Kyla, and 2 young kids. We met at a coffee shop in a strip mall 30 minutes from my house. Sarah was in her late 30s, blonde, composed in a way that suggested she'd already cried all her tears in private. She sat down across from me with a tablet and slid it across the table without preamble. I've known about the affair for 2 months, she said calmly, like she was discussing the weather. I hired a private investigator. Here's everything. I scrolled through the files. Hotel receipts dating back 6 months. Screenshots of texts between Fredrick and Kyla, some so explicit I had to look away. Photos of them entering hotels, leaving restaurants, kissing in parking lots. My hands clenched around the tablet. Why didn't you confront them? I asked. Sarah took a sip of her latte. Because I wanted evidence. And because Fredrick is about to lose everything. She pulled up another folder. He's not a regional VP like he told Kyla. He's a mid-level sales rep who got demoted last year for missing quotas. He's $43,000 in credit card debt. The suits, the hotels, the champagne, all borrowed money. He's been living off his parents and lying to everyone, including your wife. A bitter laugh escaped me. So she threw away our marriage for a fraud. We both married liars, Sarah said. The difference is we're going to make them pay. 4 days after I served her with papers, Kyla got called into her boss's office. I know this because Margaret, her former boss, called me personally. I thought you should know, she said. Kyla's been terminated. Apparently, after the mandatory conference Kyla had skipped, the client, a major pharmaceutical company worth millions in annual contracts, had threatened to pull their business. Margaret had pulled security footage from the hotel across the street from their office, the one where Kyla had told them she'd be working from, that day due to unreliable internet at home. The footage showed Kyla entering the Rosewood Hotel with Fredrick at 9:15 a.m. They didn't leave until 4 p.m. I called her in this morning, Margaret said. Showed her the footage. Asked her to explain. She tried to say it was a client meeting. Margaret's laugh was sharp. A client meeting at a hotel for 7 hours with a man who doesn't work for any of our clients? She insulted my intelligence. I terminated her on the spot. Kyla tried to file for unemployment. Denied, fired for cause. She applied to 3 competitors. Word had already spread in the industry. No callbacks. Her LinkedIn profile, which used to boast about her award-winning marketing campaigns, went dark. Meanwhile, her harassment campaign escalated. She called my office 12 times in one day until my assistant blocked her number. She showed up at my gym, my grocery store, my dry cleaner. Always crying, always making a scene, always playing the victim. How could you do this to me? She'd wail loudly enough for strangers to stare. Then came the blog. Surviving Narcissistic Abuse by Kyla Mitchell. Post after post painting me as a controlling monster who'd abandoned her without warning, who'd stolen her belongings, who'd turned his family against her. She set up a GoFundMe. Help me rebuild after escaping abuse. It raised $340, mostly from people who didn't know her. Kyla's mother, Patricia, and her sister, Jenna, joined the crusade. Patricia showed up at my office building demanding to speak to my manager. Security escorted her out. She tried to file a police report claiming I'd stolen Kyla's belongings. The officer looked at the divorce papers, looked at the deed to my house showing sole ownership, and told Patricia to leave before he arrested her for filing a false report. Jenna was worse. She created fake Yelp reviews for my company, claiming I was unstable and abusive. She posted on neighborhood Facebook groups warning people about the narcissist on Maple Street. Anthony sent cease and desist letters to both of them. They ignored them. Then Kyla got creative. She attempted to access our joint bank account, the one that had $12,000, and transfer everything to a new account in her name only. The bank flagged it as potential fraud and froze the account. She tried to use my credit card, the one I'd given her for emergencies that I'd forgotten to cancel. Declined. I'd canceled it the same night I'd found out. She showed up at my sister Rachel's workplace, crying, begging Rachel to talk sense into Kendrick. Rachel, 8 months pregnant and Anthony's wife, looked Kyla dead in the eye and said, "You cheated on my brother. You deserve everything that's happening to you. Leave before I call security." The final straw came when Patricia tried to show up at my church. My pastor, who'd counseled Kyla and me during our engagement, intercepted her in the parking lot. Whatever he said to her made Patricia leave in tears. He never told me what was said, just put his hand on my shoulder and said, "Some people show you who they really are when they think no one's watching. I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner." 2 weeks before the divorce hearing, my phone rang from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Kendrick? It's Fredrick." I froze. His voice was exactly how I'd imagined it, smooth, practiced, the kind of voice that sold things to people who didn't need them. "I know this is weird, man, but I need to talk to you. Can we meet?" I hung up. He called back immediately. "Please. Just 5 minutes. Look, I'm desperate here." Against every instinct I said, "Talk. You've got 2 minutes." A heavy sigh came through the phone. "Sarah kicked me out. Took the kids, the house, everything. I'm living in my parents' basement. Lost my job. And Kyla," he paused. "She won't leave me alone, man. She's calling me 50 times a day. Showing up at my parents' house. She thinks we're going to be together now that you guys are divorcing. I need you to take her back." Silence. Then I started laughing. Actually laughing so hard I had to sit down. "You want me," I said slowly, "to take back my cheating wife who you were sleeping with because she's bothering you now that you've lost everything? Is that what I'm hearing? I know it sounds bad. It sounds insane. You destroyed my marriage. You slept with my wife for 6 months. And now you're calling me for help because she's annoying you? I made a mistake. We both did. But I can't deal with her anymore. She's crazy. She keeps saying we're soulmates, that we're meant to be together. I told her it was just fun, nothing serious, but she won't listen." "Not my problem," I said. My voice had gone cold, ice cold, the same tone Anthony used in court. "You wanted her? You've got her. Enjoy. Kendrick, please." I hung up, blocked the number, and smiled for the first time in weeks. The divorce hearing was scheduled for a Thursday morning in Judge Patricia Brennan's courtroom. Judge Brennan had a reputation. She didn't tolerate lies, she didn't tolerate theatrics, and she especially didn't tolerate cheaters trying to profit from their infidelity. Kyla walked in with a lawyer she'd found on Craigslist, some guy named Mitchell Foss who looked fresh out of law school and wore a suit that didn't fit right. She'd clearly told him a version of events where she was the victim because he kept shooting me sympathetic looks, like I was the monster. Anthony walked in carrying a briefcase and a 3-inch thick folder. He nodded at me once, then arranged his materials on the table like a surgeon laying out instruments. Judge Brennan entered and we all stood. She reviewed the case file for what felt like an eternity, her reading glasses perched on her nose, her expression unreadable. Then she looked up. "Mr. Foss, does your client contest the grounds for divorce?" Foss stood awkwardly. "Your Honor, my client believes there are extenuating circumstances that should be considered in the division of assets." "That's not what I asked. Does she contest that she committed adultery?" Kyla leaned over and whispered something to Foss. His face went red. She says it was a mistake, Your Honor, and that her husband abandoned her without warning." Anthony stood. "Your Honor, I'd like to submit evidence to the court." He pulled out the folder. Hotel receipts. Screenshots of texts. The security footage from Kyla's office building showing her entering the Rosewood. Sarah's private investigator's report. Bank statements showing Kyla's unauthorized attempts to drain accounts. Records of her harassment campaign. The fake police report her mother filed. Everything. Judge Brennan spent 20 minutes reviewing it all. The courtroom was dead silent except for the sound of pages turning. Kyla's leg bounced nervously under the table. Foss looked like he wanted to sink through the floor. Finally, Judge Brennan removed her glasses and looked directly at Kyla. "Mrs. Mitchell, in my 30 years on the bench, I have seen a lot of people make terrible decisions. But rarely do I see someone compound those decisions with fraud, harassment, and what appears to be a coordinated campaign to destroy their spouse's reputation." She picked up one document. You attempted to fraudulently access a bank account. You filed a false police report through your mother. You created a public blog defaming your husband. And now you're asking this court to reward you for your infidelity? Kyla's lawyer opened his mouth. Judge Brennan held up a hand. Divorce granted. All assets remain with Mr. Mitchell as they were acquired prior to the marriage or are his separate property. Mrs. Mitchell, you are ordered to pay $15,000 in legal fees to Mr. Mitchell for the costs incurred defending against your baseless claims. You will also cease all contact with Mr. Mitchell, his family, and his place of employment, or you will face contempt charges. Do you understand? Kyla's face crumbled. She started crying big heaving sobs that echoed in the courtroom. This isn't fair. Mrs. Mitchell, Judge Brennan said sharply, you made your choices. Now you live with the consequences. We're adjourned. The gavel came down like a gunshot. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, my life looked completely different. I'd gotten a promotion at work, lead software engineer, a position I'd been working toward for 3 years. The promotion came with a $30,000 raise and the respect of colleagues who'd watched me handle the divorce with quiet dignity. My boss actually said, "You never let it affect your work. That's the mark of a professional." I'd moved into a new condo downtown, modern and clean, with floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked the city. No memories of Kyla here. No ghosts in the closets or her decorative pillows on the couch. Just my space exactly how I wanted it. And I'd met someone. Her name was Simone, a project manager at a partner company. We'd connected over coffee at a work conference, started talking about terrible marriage stories, and somehow ended up laughing instead of crying. She knew everything about Kyla and she didn't run. Everyone's got a past, she'd said. What matters is how you handle it. We'd been dating for 3 months. No rush. No pressure. Just two people enjoying each other's company. Meanwhile, Kyla's life had imploded. Through mutual friends and Rachel's occasional updates, I'd heard she was living with her mother in a cramped 2-bedroom apartment. She'd taken a job at a retail store in the mall, not management, just sales floor, minimum wage plus commission. Her LinkedIn profile was gone. Her blog had been taken down after Sarah threatened legal action for defamation. The GoFundMe had been refunded to donors after someone reported it as fraudulent. Fredrick was in even worse shape. Bankruptcy. Divorce finalized with Sarah getting full custody and most of the assets. His parents had apparently kicked him out after Kyla showed up at their house one too many times. Last anyone heard, he was working at a car dealership, living in a studio apartment and avoiding social media entirely. Kyla had tried to reach out once about 2 months ago. An email to my work address that somehow got through the filters. "I'm sorry. I made a mistake. Can we talk?" I deleted it without responding. Anthony had advised me to keep it in case she violated the no-contact order, but I didn't need to. She'd lost. Completely and utterly. The final piece of irony came last week. An email from the Rosewood Hotel. "Congratulations. You've been awarded a complimentary weekend stay at our luxury hotel as part of our valued guest program." Apparently, Kyla's credit card, the one she'd used to book rooms with Fredrick, had racked up enough points for a free stay, and since the card was linked to our old joint account, the reward had been sent to my email. I stared at that email for a long moment. Then I smiled, pressed delete, and closed my laptop. I had better places to be now. Better people to spend my time with. And a future that didn't include lies, betrayal, or late-night texts from someone who never deserved my trust in the first place. Kyla had texted, "Late night work again, don't wait up." I didn't. And I never would again.